Hi, team. Welcome to the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Today, we review the new Sisters Operation boss fight on Iokath. And can I just say, Lord help the mister that comes between Esne and her sister. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 203. And with me, as always, is never has there been such a devoted podcaster as Seema. Hi, Seema.
Wow,
How's
that
it
was a
going?
stretch.
That was a little bit of a
It's going
stretch.
okay. I'm down with the White Christmas reference. That was fun.
Yeah,
I'll have to go watch that later this week. Or maybe I'll wait till Christmas time.
maybe. Nah.
Maybe. Yeah, another good week. We just finished with MFN because we're recording on Tuesday this week. And we had some fun times on Makeb and Alderaan. And before that, we went and messed around in EC for the first part of the period. We um, did our sort of semi-normal pattern of playing with the tanks and not really getting them down and deciding to go do something easier, which is what Makeb, the role played by Makeb and Alderaan. We went and did the world bosses there and ran around and killed some, you know, did you guys get to 250? Because I had to go AFK for a bit during that, so I did not. I think I have about 50 towards the 250 NPCs. But yeah, MFN was a conquest night for sure. And I've done some gambling this week, not a lot, but surprisingly did not yield a pigman for me yet. So that's where
Yes.
I am.
I, too,
Um,
do not have a pig man.
no pigman for
Hmm.
either of us.
Goo goo gachoo. Um, yeah, no, I don't have a pig man either. I did not do much gambling this week, though. I did do I did do a bunch on my Vanguard, and I did it even before the double CXP started, and still got quite a few Command XP ranks. I was doing some things, mostly GSF, now that I think about it, but enough to get quite a few ranks on my Vanguard, because I did have some bonuses running. I think I'm up above 160 or so Command rank on my Vanguard now, and enough uh, Galactic Starfighter to complete the weekly and a bunch of the dailies and get conquest done, my personal conquest target on my Vanguard, and also did a bunch of that on my Mercenary because I do it there too. So still doing quite a bit of GSF, and it's still going pretty well. I really still like flying the bombers. And then, as you said, we had fun in Mandatory Fun Night. I missed Ops group last week, and I'm going to miss it again this week. I'm quite upset. So I have not finished killing the sisters in production yet, but I did do that fight, at least most of it, on the PTS, and have talked to and watched a bunch of the videos. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But I'm going to not be around on Thursday. I'm going to have to catch up with some other group and try to get it done this week, just because I want I want to. But I will definitely get back to it next week, I'm sure, with the group. Hopefully you guys can kill them or fight them this week and finish that fight. And I'll talk about why I'm not saying kill them when we get to that part. But first, we can certainly talk about the news that's popped up.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
So in the news, there has been various reports of server instability. The East Coast servers in particular, Jedi Covenant included, did have some problems this past week. There are some notes in the dev tracker with a little bit of explanation. They did move to that new data center. They did do rebuilds on the servers. They were hoping that things would be relatively calmed down and stable by this point. But anytime you start wiggling the Tower of Jello, it continues to shake and shimmy to some degree. So I think that's still going on for them, unfortunately.
Wait, someone was wiggling a tower of jelly?
Tower
Oh,
of
I mean
Jello. That's
jello?
that was an analogy to software development back in the day, back in my Microsoft days. That software's like a big tower of Jello, and anytime you do any little sort of change, the whole thing just started jiggling, which is precarious. I don't know. Does that really work? I don't know if that fits what
I
that
like
is, but
it better than House of Cards, which is, yeah.
it's a tower of Jello.
Because the Tower of Jello could jiggle, but then might still work. but the house of cards just collapses. So I like the
Yes.
Jello. Also in news, people have been reporting conquest achievement problems, notably, I think, when a guild conquers a planet. And like some guild members were getting the achievement and other guild members weren't. And I think they're going through and fixing, they have the data to do it, but I think they're going through and fixing them sort of by a process, manual or auto. But if you didn't get the achievement, it might still be coming, but it wouldn't hurt to put a specific ticket in. One ticket doesn't need multiple tickets.
Also, in the dev tracker, some people were on Keith's case, as people like to be, about updates to the roadmap. So the initial roadmap that Keith put together did only take us through about where we're at now, just a little bit further. So people were saying, hey, when are you going to give some notes on the rest of the roadmap, what's coming the rest of the year, what some other priorities are, when you're going to update to DirectX 11 or 12, et cetera, et cetera. So Keith put some notes in the dev tracker, replied to that thread. You can check them out. He did reiterate that they are focused on group content. He also reiterated that they're trying to, quote unquote, re-engage all of our systems. So flashpoints, PvP, GSF, strongholds, story, but definitely a focus on group content. And he made some notes and references to quality of life. So quality of life would be sort of the kinds of performance and gameplay and shortcuts and additional features that just make playing the game a little bit easier or nicer or faster, or adding things like search to deco boxes and things like that. So hopefully we'll continue to see that coming beyond our August release. And I'm interested to see what does show up for the rest of the year and when we're going to get the final calendar of the rest of the boss fights for IOCATH. That's what I'm most interested in. And any hints on what else might be coming along those lines or related content by the end of the year.
And then also Keith mentioned in a thread that a recent Windows patch should have fixed the crashing problem that Windows 10 users started getting after the creators update. And I have to say I haven't crashed recently myself, so yeah, might be fixed.
Seems fixed to me too. I've been looking very closely, and I did try to repeat. I had very, very consistent behavior, able to reproduce the crash every single time that I was trying, and now it seems to be gone. And the note was specifically that it was a Microsoft fix that was in a recent patch update for Microsoft.
I meant to say that, yeah.
So if you have not done Windows Update recently, you may want to do that, and that should help you clear that problem if you were having it. Also, there were some more jabs and pokes at Keith and the dev team around those discussion topic threads. The GSF one in particular, somebody posted some things like, you know, the usual, you're a terrible person and you hate all the players because you haven't jumped back into this thread and told us that, yes, we will implement everything that you've asked us to. Regardless, Keith did decide to jump in there and said, hey, the lead developer, Brett, for GSF, did jump in there and talked about it a little bit, that they are reading all of this stuff, even if they're not responding right away. And it's going to take them some time to just go through it, come up with a plan, come up with a cogent response. They can't just start replying to things in forum threads and saying, yes, I'll code that up tonight and translate it into 20 different languages and publish it tomorrow. So it will take some time, and I do expect that that it is something they're interested in, because they do continue to talk about that, and GSF has popped up on the map in particular. But we're going to have to wait and see, and wait for them to come up with a relatively cohesive response before they start talking more about it, I would expect.
Also, just coming up in events, well, actually right here, right now, double Command XP event starting from today, which is the 18th of July, and going to the 25th. And then starting on the 25th, we will have the Rackle Plague outbreak, and it's going to be on Tatooine, the 25th to August 1st.
Yes. So what is to the 25th? So the 18th to the 25th. So we've got a little bit of time here. We've got about a week of
Yeah.
double command XP, including the weekend. So I will have to think about if I've got time to push my Vanguard at least to tier 3, if not a good amount of the ways towards tier 4. Probably not all that far though. I'm only halfway, which is a little bit frustrating. That's a separate issue though that we can provide feedback on. But I'm always happy to see the Rakghouls come back as well, because who doesn't like some good zombies in Star Wars? In guild and community news... Oh, wait, I should...
Hands off the monkey lizard!
No, that's not the right one.
If you are infected with the Rakghoul...
No.
Fresh Raggle, mate.
There we go.
I mean, I hope not. I hope you don't.
You know. Oh, it sounds like Benori's having a birthday coming up, too, with Rakghouls that will be able to attend the party. In guild and community news, I wanted to do a couple shout-outs not related to the Sisters content that we'll be talking about, and I will do some shout-outs there to influencers that put together guides and notes and things about the Sisters fight. Outside of that, Jessie from Passionately Casual on her blog Tatooine Dreams, I think that's, Tatooine Dreams, put together a nice little summary and notes and discussion of the Manon stronghold called Enchantment Under the Sea. The Enchantment Under the Sea dance, that's actually a Back to the Future reference. But she does have Sebastian here dancing at the top of her blog post. But this is a good blog post, so appreciate that. Check that out. And then also I had a couple people refer me to some good content from about the Manon Stronghold that Zamzam put together. So Zamzam's been a blogger and content creator in this SWTOR community for quite a while, and she put together a pretty good well-researched, detailed blog post about Manon as well. Boy, she put some work into decorating her Manon Stronghold. She didn't just dump a bunch of chairs everywhere. What's with that?
I really admire that.
I'm down here as we speak in my house of chairs. I was saying I need a stronghold title that says House of Chairs. That would be great.
You need more chairs. That's like hardly any chairs at all.
I think that's all the chairs I could possibly place. I think every small floor spot in this room is filled with a chair.
Right. It is a conference room, and you're standing on a giant speakerphone thing.
Yeah, I'm addressing. It's sort of like a theater in the round, and I'm doing my one-man show called "I'm a Bounty Hunter."
Max talks.
You got a problem with that? Yeah. So there you go. What about our guild, Zima? What kind of news do we have there?
So, MFN next week will be on the IMP site, and by next week I mean July 25th. And also this week for Conquest, if anybody's curious, it's the event is Balance of Power, and the repeatable things you can do this week are the usual group finder, weekly missions, PvP, and GSF stuff. But you can also do the staged weekly on Makeb, which is a long and painful thing, but you can do it, and it gives you quite a few points. The heroic missions on Makeb, and the heroic missions on Alderaan. So heroic missions for everyone.
Yeah, the staged weekly on Makeb. That is a long and...
I used to do that all the time, and now I
know.
I don't
Why
have
did
it.
we do that? I did do that all the time also. For rep or something?
I
Maybe for rep.
guess.
I don't know. However, those are things you can do. You could also join our guild and come jump in on our guild fun nights, like our Tuesday night mandatory fun night, where we did some group conquest objectives, including killing the Ulgo Siegebreaker and going to Sapporo's courtyard and killing the what did Arv call it? The chocolate kangaroo, the Toblerone kangaroo.
And then also Carissain called it the Taboro's poodle, I think.
Taboro's
the golden poodle.
Golden poodle. I always just say, hey, we're going to pick up some Toblerone at the Marriott courtyard.
I like all those, but I kind of like the poodle one now.
Yeah. So if you wanted to do that, you could come join our guild. Our guild is Alea Yacht Est. We do quite a few fun things. In fact, we have a big cross-game giant guild event coming up later in the summer. Did you already mention that, Seema? I don't know. I'll mention it too.
No, I didn't actually.
So our big guild summer event, including our Remembrance Day and a week of events in all of our various games that we play, is coming up at the end of the month. You can always find our guild information on aie-guild.org. You can find our Discord information there. You could jump in Discord and say, hey, Max, hey, Seema, give me a guild invite on the Republic or Imperial side of Jedi Covenant, and we'll hook you up. And as always, also, thanks to the chat room. We got a ton of people in there tonight. They've been helping us out, making sure that they can hear me and they can hear Seema and they can see our confused John Travolta
Tithe.
and confused Tithe mirroring and mimicking confused John Travolta. Do you think he's doing it ironically because of the meme? Anyway, thank you, chat room. I will chat with all of you more in the chat room after the show. So now let's talk about these fight where we may or may not be disintegrating bosses.
There will be a substantial reward for the one who finds the Millennium Falcon. You are free to use any methods necessary, but I want them alive. No disintegrations.
So yeah, to kick it off, are we killing the bosses or are we not? I mean, they lay there dead, right? But you loot their core and then do you res them back up and drive them around on Iocath? I think you do. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a pretty metaphorical question. And can you kill a giant droid in the first place?
Were they alive to start? Oh, I see where you're going, Seema. That's quite fascinating. You're right. That is philosophical.
Moving right along. So fascinating. We'll just go on to the next thing.
But yeah, I don't know. So I did think of this though when I saw, and I'll show a bit of it here. I was looking through some of the boss fights and some of the notes on the Avela Esni fight in Gods from the Machine on Iocath, and somebody put up a video already of being able to play as Esni on Iocath. So, we can already do this with Tithe. There's actually a pretty cool one of somebody who got in, controlled the Tithe and ran around and fought one of the Colossus droids as Tithe. Although it's a pretty even fight against the Colossus droid as Tithe, which I wouldn't expect. But it's pretty cool. You do get to play with them. They have a lot of their abilities. And in fact, in the Tithe fight, for example, some of the abilities don't unlock until Tithe's health drops below certain thresholds, like when he hits those phases in the fight based on his percentage of health. He gets more abilities that get added to the fight, like his Enrage, for example.
That is a cool touch, I have to admit.
Yeah, so that was sort of cool to watch. You can find some of those videos on YouTube, and you yourself can do this as well. So each time you kill one of these bosses in Gods from the Machine, they can drop a control unit core. So I have one here for Tithe. It's called Tithe Control Module. If you grab the Tithe Control Module and you go to the entrance to Gods from the Machine, there's a control console there. You click on, I think you click on the chair that's in the middle of all the control consoles. You turn in your control module and a mere 2,400 Iocath shards, which
takes no time at all to get.
How many do I have now? I have 849. So I got that going for me. So 2,400 plus that control module that you only get and only one or two drop off the boss when they die. Then you turn that in, and what you get then is another token that you can take over to the console for that droid, click on it, and then you spawn as that droid on Iocath down where the dailies are, and you can run around and do the dailies and fight the Colossus droid and do all that kind of thing as that droid. It's a one-time use token, so 2,400 tokens and the control module, and you can play as Tithe or Esni. If you leave vehicle, it's done, so don't do that. And if you get tired of doing it, I don't know what would happen if you log out and log back in. I guess we'll have to try that. but it still looks pretty cool.
You try it.
You try it. So that is a cool side effect of killing these guys. It seems to me though that we're not actually killing them, we're disabling them and grabbing the control module and then controlling them. So they're not
Yes.
dying. Although you do get loot. So maybe you just roll their unconscious body and pull the loot out
Do
of
we
their
care
pockets.
if we kill them as long as we get our loot?
I guess not. No. As long as I get loot. I don't care.
Yes, the galaxy can take care of itself. I just want the loot.
If I could like walk up during the fight and like pickpocket Tithe and like moonwalk out of there.
Moonwalk.
that,
See ya.
that,
Max moonwalks out.
that would be cool.
Goodbye, suckers.
All right, so we are going to talk about the Avela and Esni fight, and I hope I am saying it correctly. That seems to be the consensus on how you say those names, wouldn't you say, Seema? Well,
Yep,
you
yep.
taught me, I think, right? Esni.
Well, I don't know about that, but just, various people, saying them in the game and on videos, and it seems
So-
like it.
So we'll go with the crowd because it's always better to be a follower than a leader, as we always say. No, I don't know
Yeah,
why I said that.
every week we say that. Yeah.
Avela sounds good to me. That's the weirdly spelled one. But we're not going to do a guide here. There's a couple good guides that
Even
I will
though
point
we
you to.
are experts on this
Oh,
fight.
we are
We
totally.
haven't finished it, but we're totally experts on it.
But again, do you ever really finish the fight? So have we gotten far?
My God.
But we did most of the fight on PTS and have talked to a couple of our ops teams have done it. Another has one of our guildies, Smoke in the chat room, did it 5 times today alone. We have seen it also, and I'll go through SWTOR Central. Sam from SWTOR Central and Kid Lee, they both have pretty good videos up there. Dolphy's got a video. We're gonna mostly do a review though, a review of the fight, the highlights, what we like, what we've heard about, some of the differences between story mode and hard mode, and then some of the other tips like this of what it's like to play them and where you can find more information. So just in kicking it off, and I have some pictures to go along with it, not a big deal, but so Seema, give me your, while I bring up these pictures, give me your, oh, that's wrong. That's
Okay.
the wrong page. Give me
So-
your general overview. What do you think?
My general overview is that when you first go into the room, there's like one of those sort of double triangle upside and up, right side up things in the center. And then around the outside, there's things that you have to kill. And when you kill them, then you need to click on an item, and it gives you an extra ability. And then the extra ability, there's like a blue one and a red one. See, I'm really talented at this fight description thing. But there's a red one and a blue one, and depending on what AoE or what attacks you're around, you want to click the red one or the blue one to reduce or eliminate the damage you might take.
Yeah, so that's
That's
sort of the key fun mechanic, right? Is this color switching?
yeah. And then once you kill those things, that's when the sisters come floating down.
So what do you think of like the color switching mechanic as sort of being, so 2 things. What do you think of the arena? Because number 1, that's something that I'm pretty amused by. And number 2, it seems like the core mechanic is this color switching mechanic, which is slightly different than other fights. So what do you think of those 2 things? Start off with the arena and the environment and the art.
I
do you
like
think?
I like the environment. And I like all the telegraphs, like you just put a picture up there of, I like how the telegraphs have that sort of look of a pathway or like a
Yeah, I guess
a
it is
highway
new,
in the air, like the Jetsons.
new art
like a
for the
highway on the
telegraph
Jetsons.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Tracks on the ground of how those new
Right.
art for that kind of telegraph. That
And I
looks
like
pretty
how
cool.
there's the sort of dark forest green background, but the telegraphs really stand out against it because I hate it when it's underwater and the telegraph is the same color as the water, and you're telling people not to stand in that off blue circle.
Yeah, I'm
It's
looking
just
at you, Bestia, putting your red circles under the water and stacking different types of red circles on each other and blood pools, and your pets
or
are
purple
legion.
bad circles on top of purple good circles.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So I think Delphi reminded me that this shape is a rhombus. I was reading her blog. Yes, so fine. I was saying diamond or something, but yeah, I like the art. I like the environment. I think it looks pretty cool. I like the platform. So one thing I noticed about this platform, and as we were talking and dividing up people tonight for our various fights, this does seem like a little bit more melee friendly environment because you're never all that far from anything, even when you have to be switching over and doing little DPS on the ads for certain modes. So those controllers, I think it's they're called controllers. Those do require a little bit of extra work when you're fighting when you're fighting in veteran mode in particular. And as a result, are they called? No, countermeasures. So as a result, the melee or whoever the DPS is do need to be keeping aggro on those a little bit. So you got to be turning and shooting at them every once in a while to get them aggro because their main countermeasure mechanic is to be putting stacks on people and giving them a healing debuff, a healing done debuff. So you got to be the DPS need to be focused on those in veteran mode to have that debuff not ending up on the healers. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble late in the fight. But as I was saying, just positioning wise and space wise, you don't have to be, you're not like running 30 meters to get from place to place. You're only just switching back just a little bit. So melee friendly because you're really grouped up for most of the time in both of these places, bouncing back and forth just a little bit doesn't seem too bad. How about from a healing perspective in terms of layout and positioning? It seemed not too bad from a healer's perspective either.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's going to be a different case when we get to hard mode because I was watching a streamer doing hard mode and he mentioned that there is a stacking debuff in hard mode where if you do 1% less healing for each stack, and of course if it stacks up to 100, then you're doing 0% healing.
Yeah, that's the countermeasures. So if the DPS are really good, they'll keep that off of you. But I think it's really like once every they have an aggro drop. So the countermeasures are these four pyramids around the outside. They have an aggro drop. The DPS need to keep after every aggro drop, put a couple shots into them. Otherwise, the healers pick up aggro right away because it's just aggro, healer aggro. So that is that thing. That's that 1% stacking debuff that we got to keep off of you. That'll be my job to keep off of you. But yeah, I also saw the healers too, positioning wise. You're mostly broken up into two groups because when Esne and her sister come down, they start in fixed positions on the two sides of the rhombus here across from each other with the nexus in the middle. Half the group is grouped up on one side, half the group is grouped up on the other. So the healers will mostly stick with their half, but it doesn't take that much for a healer to sort of step towards the middle and be able to heal the whole second group as well if they needed to.
I hope somebody will make a picture of Avela and Esne with like big blue fans.
Fans?
Yes, like big blue feather fans from White Christmas.
From White Christmas. Because there were never such devoted sisters. This is absolutely correct. You should do that. Get your Photoshop skills rolling, and I think that would be excellent. So yeah, so that's okay. And now we've started down that path. Those other key mechanics that we've already started talking about are these ads around the outside. Killing the first set of ads gives you the item that gives you a new ability bar, the red versus blue. If you're standing in blue things or you're in a blue telegraph, you should click on the blue button on your pop-up bar. If you're standing or going to be standing in a red beam or a red telegraph, then you click on the red thing. the key note that I noticed some of the veteran mode teams talking about was sometimes this needs to happen very quickly in veteran mode, especially, and we can talk about what happens there when these beams start moving around. But because it has to happen so quickly, you may want to be key binding these two items.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I would have to key bind them.
This kind of temporary action bar, you can look in your keybinds. There's a set of keybinds for the temporary action bar. Like I have slot number 1 of the temporary action bar permanently keybound to Shift Control A, just so I can. It's just over on the side. I can always just hammer it. I use it because things like kick the hot ball, or not kick the. Don't kick the hot ball. Huts don't have feet. Throw the hot ball. Pops up there, and then I can always have it handy. And anything that pops up there. But because you need to keep a lookout for good places to keybind it. Get used to using it as a keybind if you're going to be doing things like the veteran mode. If you have a fancy mouse like this one that's got lots of buttons, you could look for buttons to be thinking about putting these things on. So those long telegraphs that Seema you were mentioning, those are pretty cool. In story mode, they're fixed to one person, and you can move around while it's telegraphing, and then once it turns into a laser beam, then it just shoots out wherever the telegraph was. That can start to get a little bit crazy and complicated when there's multiples of those going on. But especially in the early phases, there's one on one side and one on the other. Whoever has it just needs to make sure that their telegraph is set, their telegraph color is set correctly, and then shoot it off, sort of off to the side, so it's not like crossing in the middle of the platform.
It'll be
across
crazy
the
on
whole group.
16, man. Crazy.
Well, everybody should be sort of grouped up in the middle. And even if you have a stack of 8 people here versus 3 people here, everyone in theory should be able to still sort of stack up by, right by the boss there. A couple of the DPS are going to be swinging around.
It'll be no problem at all then. I changed my story.
And I'm sticking to it. Where it gets really crazy, though, is veteran mode. So in veteran mode, these glare units turn on, and they have the telegraphs. But when they do a telegraph, no, I don't even think they start with a telegraph. They just turn on 2 laser beams. there's one laser beam each. So there's 4 glare units, 1 laser beam each, two red and 2 blue, and then those rotate across the platform. So this gets really tricky, and you can watch some of the videos where some of these veteran mode groups were doing this mechanic. This you need to be very quickly toggling your blue versus red buff on you on the quick action bar, and keep it blue, cross both the blue beams, clear them as they rotate around, and then the other 2 beams are rotating around red, so then you switch to red. There is a little bit of a cooldown in between, so it's not just an insta switch, so you do need to be timing it where you're crossing like both blue beams and moving to the side of the platform, then switch to red and go back and cross the other 2 beams and clear them, all while you're still fighting the bosses and taking care of the other mechanics that are going on too. So that's getting a little crazy. There's also these giant circles you can sort of see here. I think this is a screenshot of Delphi's video. Give Delphi some credit here. Her team that did the preview of veteran mode. These giant circles, they don't do a lot of damage to you, but keeping your debuff color to match here is recommended. But you will have to be crossing both of these sometimes, and maybe even standing in the middle and taking damage from one or the other in certain situations. If you're taking a beam and you're in the blue but you're taking a red beam, you're going to have to switch to red. I think it's like a 10k damage tick from the giant circle versus like death if you stand in the blue beam and you have red over your head. So that's sort of the key mechanic. There's some other special stuff going on with the bosses in veteran mode, for example. Like they shield, and then you get a thing off the nexus to break their shield and do some cool stuff with that. But the color changing is the key thing to get used to. It is from what it looks like, and and I like it. So I like that it's tight tight and dynamic, and it's got some cool mechanics, and it seems like a pretty good fight.
As far as veteran mode, I was watching a streamer, Super Sub. I don't know how he says that, but it's Super H Sub. But he made a video, and it's on Twitch as a VOD, that was his breakdown of hard mode or veteran mode of this fight. And he did sort of what you did with the PowerPoint slides. He was narrating over it, and then he would stop and show you like this debuff, and this is what it looks like on the bar, and this is how you know when the tanks have to do their swap. And it was really a good way to watch a video, because it, especially since he did it from tank perspective, you could see the whole fight. Well, that's not always true of tank perspective, but on this one you can see the whole fight happening. You can see all the telegraphs, and it's a long video. It's like an hour. So I mean, feed the cats and take the dog out if you're going to watch it first. But yeah, I thought that was really, I mean, obviously put a lot of time into it and gave a lot of good information. So I would check that one out too. I see you're putting up the slide of the yes, the ones we were talking about earlier, but this guy
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
Super Sub. If you just go to Twitch and look for ANE HM VOD breakdown analysis, that's the one I'm talking about.
Cool. Yeah, that is good. I think Sam did a pretty good job with SWTOR Central too.
Yeah, he did.
The preview that Kid Lee did was quite entertaining, but it was less instructional than it was sort of the entertaining. They wiped a couple times. It was sort of a stream of some of the stuff that they were doing to do a preview of the fight. I do like the idea of, in these kinds of instructional videos, and Sam does a good job of describing, but that stop and pause
He
and
does.
show an extra picture. You know what we got to get is those 2-minute boss videos. Is that what it is from
Yeah.
those WoW guys?
From line of sight gaming.
Line of
Yeah.
sight gaming. If you play WoW and you want some 2-minute fight overview videos, I don't know what they're using for their little animation tool, but it's quite good. And
Yeah.
they do like a meta animated view of the fight. So you basically get like, little graphics which represent the players and the bosses that look like the player and the boss in the environment, but all of this other crap is gone, and they can just show, they start here, they move here, and within like 2, 3, 4 minutes they can do a boss fight overview that's quite impressive.
Very helpful. Yeah. Yeah, Max. I think you
So
should
either
get on that.
get them over here, or get them, steal their tools and give them to Sam and Kid Lee and, and let
Yeah.
them go to town. I think that's the better idea. We'll delegate. But yeah, I like Kid Lee's and Sam's in particular. Those guys did a good job, and Delphi has a good write-up. So that she's got a good breakdown narrative, which I also like to have the written review of the boss fights. She talks through the differences in her write-up, the differences between hard mode and story mode, what you can skip in story mode and ignore. So she mostly tells from the perspective of veteran. Here's the veteran mode, and if you're gonna do story, here's the mechanics you can skip. My recommendation is typically to think about it that way, to think about fights in terms of veteran or even master mode, and we used to do this when we were sort of more progression opsing on a regular basis, is come at the fight always from the perspective, even from the very beginning, of let's do it master mode, let's do it nightmare mode mechanics, even if that mechanic doesn't matter in story mode. That way we just get the muscle memory, we get the practice, we know where to stand, we know where we should be doing tank swaps and those kinds of things. So cool. Also, speaking of general tips, did you see this blog post? I think I put a note in here. Yeah. There was a official blog news article posted on the official website. Info news article 2017-07-18. Did you see this, Seema?
Yes, I did see that.
Oh, there you
It's
go.
actually pretty good advice on, if you've want to get ready for operations or haven't done it before, it goes through how you think about it, how do you get ready for it, what are the sort of minimum requirements, and yeah.
SWTORista did one of her little, her SWTOR Academy webs videos, YouTube videos about how to start doing ops. We've done at least one, if not two, podcast episodes with this as the kind of segment topic as well. But that's because it's sort of useful, important kind of tips. A lot of
Yeah.
people, especially new to the game, might be thinking about, how do I get in on this? How do I get into it? I refuse to queue up because I don't know what I'm getting myself into. This explains what you're getting yourself into. Even as far
Of course,
as, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say a new player may never see this blog post.
True. So we need to spread the news. If you have any new players, send
Read
this
the
note
blog
around.
post.
Give them this link so that they can go take a look, and then send them to SWTORista and our podcast to get the walkthrough as well from us.
Yeah.
But here they even talk about jumping into the first operations at level 50 and what you can do, and ensuring you're thinking about gear and your role and difficulty levels and what you need for a team. And then they put this little note in here, which is certainly quite valuable advice. Consider joining a guild. A lot of guilds, ours included. I think there's even a new ops team starting on our guild for Sunday nights. I heard some rumblings. I think one of our guildies, Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus.
Marcus is trying to start up a Sunday night guild. I think we've got a couple people signed up for it already. A guild, ops
Sunday
team.
night. Yeah.
Sunday night fun ops team, which will be our 4th or 5th ops team that'll be running. So that is pretty cool, and definitely a good recommendation. So there's plenty of guilds out there. There's plenty of good guilds, AOS, for example. But if you're a new player, it's a good opportunity. You can get guilds that aren't so great, so you do want to look around a little bit, look at their website, see how they talk, see how serious they are, see how much they help new players, get an idea of the culture a little bit, and then join one. You can always leave and go somewhere else or do something else if there's too much drama. But this is a good place to just in guild chat be asking questions and seeing what people are doing. And when we do our Tuesday night stuff, for example, we love to pull new players in and do things like we insist that they watch every single cutscene in an operation if they have not seen it before. And we all wait and chat and listen to Plug DJ and talk about it. And then we tell stories about what the point of the whole operation is, why Kefis is such an immortal jackass, for example.
Yeah.
But that's sort of the point. That's the point of getting in a guild. And then we tell people what to do and what they can focus on and break it down and make it a little simpler, especially if we can carry a couple new people to say, okay, stand here. This is mostly what you're DPSing, but mostly just keep yourself alive and get a sense of the fight. And the next time you're in here, you'll be kicking butt. So I thought that was good. And then I thought it was very nice of BioWare to do 2 call-outs down at the bottom of this post, which are the Kidley and SWTOR Central Sam's videos of the walkthroughs for Esnia Vela. So that was pretty cool.
And they are really good videos. Watch them.
Yeah. So shout out to those guys again, and also thanks to them for having this available for us to key off of when we talk about this stuff. Anything else on the fight before I talk about running around as Esni on the planet?
Well, I'm digging back into my great store of expertise on this fight, and I think we've covered everything.
Yeah. Again, this isn't a guide. This is more us reviewing pros and cons. Do we like the fight? We also did an informal poll of all of our guildies that have been killing the sisters lately, and there seemed to be pretty good consensus that everybody likes the fight and thinks it's pretty cool and good mechanics and a fun thing to do. So
Yeah,
props to BioWare. Thank you, team, for putting this fight in for us.
I think it's as a fight, it's going to keep us busy for a while, especially veteran.
I'm still
So that's
having
good.
fun killing Tyth, and I'd love to go in there and kill him every chance I get. So I'm glad we've got this new content available to us. Let's keep it up. Let's keep
Yes.
it going. So that is that, and then I did just want to talk about this guy, Michael Ramone, who put this video together and did the work of gathering the 2400 Iocath shards and packaging them up with the core and summoning Esni to play with Esni on Iocath, and then walking around and making a video from start to end of summoning the bot. Look, he even does the dramatic slow walk over to the console to go and summon Esni.
But you're right. I mean, it is. Thank you for, collecting all the things and spending them this way and then letting it, because now we can watch it without doing that.
Yeah, without doing the 2400.
Yeah.
But you get the full size boss droid. And look, Esni just does. I think Tyth walks around, stomps around. Esni does her little floating thing like she is in the boss fight, and then she's got
that's
these
cool.
same animations. Tyth waves his saber staff around and does those kinds of animations, and mostly one shots all this sort of trash that's around. And then you have a pretty even fight, it looked like, against the Colossus droid. If you want to even try to go kill that big world boss Colossus droid out there. So yeah, it's a cool thing. Thank you, Michael Ramone. Did I say his name right again? Yeah, Michael Ramone. You can look this up as SWTOR playing as Esni, Goddess of Envy, on YouTube by Michael Ramone, and see this little 4-minute video where he walks around as Esni. There's another cool, funny one out there of playing as Tyth. There's not many because it is such a pain to go do this, but there's some guy from the UK, and I don't know what it is, but any you get sort of that British accent, and it just sounds funnier and more sophisticated.
Yes.
having a blast playing as Tyth. So that's a pretty hilarious one to go watch. Also, it wasn't as produced as this. He fired it up and then fired up a stream, and you can just see him firing up the stream even and quick start recording this thing because this is hilarious. I'm playing as Tyth. Look at me, I'm Tyth.
Yes.
So go check that one out too.
Now I want to play as Titan 6.
I do want to play as Titan 6. Well, you'd have to play alone though, because Titan 6 needs no allies.
Right. That's right.
And Titan 6 stands around like this, leaning against the wall, looking so cool by himself, needing no allies and standing alone.
Or maybe what I really want to do is be that jerk-face boss in Karagas Palace.
What jerk-face boss is that?
The first boss in there. Maybe I would just...
the X something
Yeah.
something
I
droid.
would just kill myself. Yeah. No, in Karagas Palace, the Rancor.
Oh, the Rancor. Yeah, no, I was thinking of Eternity Vault there. Oh,
Yeah.
the Rancor.
That's
Yes.
that's another cool droid, that guy.
This is a good idea. So
Yeah.
here we are. We're playing as these bosses here on Iocath. Why don't we get to do some dailies as the Rancor or as Karaga in his little tractor thing and drive around on... Where's Karaga's Palace taking place? Is it on the starter planet? On
Hutta?
On Hutta? Is it on Hutta? I think it
That's a
might
good
be on
question.
Hutta. Wherever it is, we should get to play as those bosses too. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
The TFBN boss. That would be tough, but that would
The
be
terror.
awesome.
The terror from beyond. That would just a big Cthulhu
He's-
thing that slithers all around.
He's only partway into our dimension, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe you would float around. I even have the one of those little greed style gates over here. Maybe you would just float around as one of these orbs, and then when you want to start attacking, you come halfway out of a gate that looks like
Yeah.
this, and
Yeah.
and attack some things. And then you sort of get sucked back into it, and you float around as the orb until you open your
And
gate
you
somewhere else.
just wave your giant tentacles.
That is also a great idea. All right, I think we've solved quite a few things on this podcast today. So great job, us. Okay, with that, I think we can wrap up and send our EPC 203 droid out, because he did get in between Esne and her sister, which is a terrible thing to do between these two sisters, as we've learned. So he has to ride the escape pod to broadcast this episode for us. Thanks to all of you for joining us on newoverlords.com, on iTunes, on YouTube, or live on Twitch. We will stream again, hopefully next Thursday night on twitch.tv/newoverlords around 10:30 p.m. Central. Come follow us on Twitter at MaxTheGray and at AIESEMA. Jump on YouTube and subscribe on YouTube so we see what kind of people are watching there too. Check in with our thread on Reddit and ask any questions there. That's a good place to throw questions our way also. And certainly, and most importantly, come find us on Jedi Covenant or in our Discord and ask us for an AIE Guild invite. We would love to have you. And we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.